Hello everyone, it's another Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. YK in the building.
Yo.
How you doing?
Watching serious traffic this
Yeah,
morning.
today's traffic was
2 hours
different.
to get here. Almost 2 hours. I'm just very annoyed and very stressed. Thank you, Jari.
I'll massage your back after.
I couldn't even read the papers, nothing. I'm just so annoyed. You
What
leave your house before 6:30. It's just traffic. That's our area.
Alagbole.
The road is bad. People go on the wrong side of the road. Sure, there's no Lagos State there to come and enforce. Everybody stay on the right lane. Then they are the ones that will now come and be going. You that you have stayed on the correct lane. That's why people are like this in Nigeria, because the people that do the illegal things are the ones that go and get ahead. You stay there, you will stay in the traffic. Oh.
Not look like a fool.
Then there will be people directing and they will tell you, no, wait, let them pass. Let them pass. They are the ones that are wrong. Why am I letting them pass? I'm sure they even jammed me today because I didn't agree.
Yesterday, over the weekend, somebody hit my car. Oh, goodness. The madness in me. I was so upset. Like, what is wrong with you, Nigerian youth? I was like, because they just kids having fun, having a great time. And they didn't really care. So that it happens, you just go crazy because people just drive. How you doing, Nima?
I'm fine. You just reminded me of eating cars. The old marks on my car. Just on Thursday when I did the live, there was a man, I had given him space. He was on the one way to enter in front of me. When I tried to get back on the lane because I was pushed off to get back in front of him, he refused. He scratched nonsense out of my car. Wow. And he went away with it.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, because if I want to craze, I will expose my car.
Weekend was about car scratching, and I hope you had a fun weekend.
The car and walked away.
I cried yesterday.
What happened?
I was having a very bad time, businesses and stuff.
Oh,
so I didn't want Oga to see me cry. I waited for him to go out.
If
I pull this shoe and I stole you this money, I'm not in the mood.
You cried after rocking on Sunday.
Thank you.
I rocked on Sunday. I had a good time on Sunday, only for me to wake up with just bad news. Like that. So I locked my door, cried for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
And then cleaned my eyes and started
dust it off.
Trying to just... But it was a very... In fact, the whole house knew something was down with that. I'm not naturally the energy in the house, so everywhere was just down. Oga was just, what can I do? What can I do? Should I do this? Should I say, no, it's not, you just leave it. It will happen. It's Nigeria, we'll be fine.
I know how that feels sometimes.
Happens sometimes.
Well, guys, it's Tuesday.
Let's not be depressing.
Because actually, Celebration had a good run on Sunday.
Fashion
show.
It was nice.
Really interesting.
I was a friend of the house that won.
The guy that makes our t-shirts.
Yes, I know. I said friend of the house.
He was the best.
He was actually the best.
You think so?
Yes, I saw it. I saw it.
Is it Freddie that won?
No, one boy guy called Larry.
He was the best. He had matching shoes. He got the assignment to write.
He paid attention to details. And
embroidery, everything was fine. I didn't know
he did embroidery.
I know that he did that.
I know because we gave them 50,000 naira and material.
Support. Oh,
wow. Yes, the 7-Up, the branded
material, and then 50,000 naira each to just
do what they had to do.
So he used his own money.
Please, I'm registering for next year.
You told
I'm registering
me
now. Fashion designer BC, we're coming.
Fantastic. I had
Tomorrow is the debate, and we're looking forward to
Wednesday. Yes, I kept telling myself there's something I'm doing on Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday debate. Right after the show, we go right there. The debate.
Freedom Park.
Freedom Park, okay, same Freedom Park.
All right, so if you're around, come to Freedom Park tomorrow for the Fela debates. The kids, every year it's always a fantastic event. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Presidency, White Tinubu is best man for the job by Al Makura. Women rally for Tinubu Shetima Sanwo-Olu in Lagos. Nigeria others tackling exchange rate crisis, says World Bank. Mbaka not moved, says Catholic Church. Ohaneze against violent agitation. Jerigo Power set to sell 250 billion naira shares. NDLA seizes 8.8 billion naira worth of tramadol pills in a raid of Lagos mansion. Laughing stool, 9 ruling houses to present 1 candidate. Unilag to get new vice-chancellor by Friday. And I am not a social media freak, says Kokanso. All right, which story are we starting with?
NDLEA. So the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has recovered over 13 million pills of tramadol worth 8.86 billion from a mansion belonging to a suspected billionaire drug baron Ugochukwu Nsofo Chukwukadibia in VGC, that's Victoria Garden City. So according to the NDLEA spokesman, Femi Babafemi, he said that the arrest was because they got information and then they had, sworn into the compound to do a search and ended up finding 443 cartons of tramadol and hydrochloride, 225 gram, and that contained 13,455,466 pills of the drug, and said some of the cartons were already burnt in the fire at the time. They also, from investigations, realized that is one of the people behind the cartel, the drug cartel in Nigeria, and he had about 6 buildings, 6 mansions in VGC, using one for office, one for himself, and the other places. And aside from that, in Kaduna State as well, the agency arrested 121 suspected drug traffickers and sealed 13 properties belonging to a whole lot of them. So they went round the different cities. They had people in Kabala, Costain, Kawo, Numba, Zango, Zaria City, Sabongeri, Nupe Street, and Unguwa Mauzu. They've just been going around and they've been arresting, and said out of the 121 suspects, 13 were females included. Well done, NDLEA.
Fantastic.
What I like about it is that they are going for the
big people.
Not the small fry. Because
the lords.
They will still get more. They are going where the source. They're going to the source.
Yes.
And
that's amazing.
That's where they will succeed, because they're going to the source. I wanted to talk about the ruling house. The
Laughing stool.
The Laughing stool. There are 9 families who have come together and they are complaining to the Traditional Council that they have chosen their own person, or they want to choose their own person that will ascend the throne, that they have been marginalized all these years, that the Agunloye and Alowolodu ruling houses are the ones that have been taking turns in ascending the throne. So now that they should please come together and let's play it fair, that it's their turn.
So there was a rally yesterday. Did you take one? Go ahead.
No, go on.
So there was a rally yesterday in Lagos, more like a walk. It was a 2 million women march for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's the flag bearer for APC. And it was a 2 million women march. It was pretty, I think they went from Tinubu Square all the way down to VI. And the governor of Lagos State and his vice president also went to meet them at, I think it was Tafawa Balewa Square. And they said that the rally was devoid of abuse, was devoid of hate speech, was devoid of intolerance. It was one rally that was fair to all and nobody felt trampled upon. It was a rally of expressing their views. And I must also use the opportunity to say that Peter Obi also had a rally on Saturday, October 1st. And they walked also from Lekki, passed through the toll gate, and it was also well attended. So I'm happy that so far in Lagos State, last weekend, we've seen 2 big rallies happen in Lagos State, and there was no record of violence, no records of arrest.
Yeah.
The police was there to secure the people. So we can't have rallies, we can't have walks without any violence. So as long as we stick to the rules, everybody will go home happy and safe. And I think that was a good indication that our people are listening, and we must always stick to obeying and abiding the laws of the land.
So the Geregu power plant, one of the Gencos that we have, and is assumed or rumored to be owned by Femi Otedola, is looking to expand, and so they're trying to raise 250 billion naira from the stock exchange. So they're listing this company at the stock exchange for ordinary shares of 50 kobo each at 100 introductory price of 100 naira per share. They are looking to raise about 2.5 billion. Sell 2.5 billion ordinary shares to raise 250 billion. And this is supposed to help expand the company. That company was supposed to have been acquired, that Genco, during the privatization in 2013, and recently they're coming into the stock exchange to raise more funds. I'm hoping that when we deal with power generation, which is not supposed to be an issue, we can then deal with power distribution as well. So that issue of the middleman, which continues to prevail, would be dealt with this kind of expansion. And I also saw that the issue of power and problems of power generation and distribution is across all West African countries. I watched Ghana yesterday. There's a channel, that focuses on Ghana news, and I was shocked that the entire day, get another thing.
Talking about
power distribution.
Let's move on to the Punch very quickly. PDP crisis, BOT convenes emergency meeting to rescue Atiku's campaign. Syndicate denies injecting child beggars. Police hunt doctor. NDLA boss billionaire drug baron recovers mansion, seizes 8 billion naira worth of tramadol. U.S. flew Oyo hotelier killed by herdsmen home for bearer, says family. Debt servicing on Nigeria's Eurobonds rises by 86%. Over 400 fleeing Kuje inmates still at large. Scientists who extracted DNA from 40,000-year-old bones wins Nobel Prize. Campaign Buhari Tinubu Shetima's wives receive appointment letters.
Okay, so the human interest story, the syndicate. So, remember the rumor on them, this syndicate that was arrested along Kirikiri. They were supposed to be using ointments to make kids look, that they have ailments, to have swollen tummy and all of that. And the police are investigating, but the suspects are saying, no, that's not what they're doing. They said that these kids sincerely, honestly have health issues and that they went to their villages and brought them from Abakaliki. They brought them. Mungozi Chukwu is the founder of that foundation. She insists that those kids are really sick and their parents are aware that they've been brought to Lagos to raise funds for treatment because they can't afford it. This is her story. But even that in itself is questionable. But the police are investigating it. They've learned that, they have kids of between 11 to 13 years held there. They have other suspects that were arrested who are also part of the syndicate, Uchenna Eze, Oyedika Chukwu Isiala, Ike Chukwu Kingsley, and Smart Alasuomu. And these people are supposed to be the ones, as members of that foundation, who carry the kids out for begging. Right. I think that they should audit how much has been raised, whether any of the children is in any medical facility taking treatment, and if not, they are being abused.
All right, let's move on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. BC had a story?
Yes. So Ayorinde Owolabi, who is the brother of a hotelier, late Olubenga Owolabi, said that the United States of America gave the Nigerian government a time frame to find the killers. The report had said that he was killed with a worker in his hotel, was abducted by gunmen, and after a few months was killed. He was killed, I think they killed him August 3rd. And this Olubenga is a citizen of America who's living in Maryland. He decided to come back to the country to invest in hospitality, and he built a hotel. And just a few months after he had launched a hotel in December, he was killed. So there's a lot of investigations going. The American government is not taking it lightly. They've come down here to do a postmortem exam. They have done another one in America. It was laid to rest August 1st. And they said the American government had given the federal government some time frame to make sure that they fish out the perpetrators, that they are seriously suspecting they were headsmen from their own investigations, and they are waiting for the government to do something about it. This is quite discouraging. You see why people don't want to come back.
Yeah. So while we are still dealing with insecurity issues, a 67-year-old Swedish scientist, Svante Pääbo, got the Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine. And what happened was he was able to extract DNA from 40,000-year-old bones, sequencing the genome of the Neanderthal, an extinct relative of the present-day human. So what he found was that we are very related to hominins and Homo sapiens. So hominins, according to him, he was able to establish that there were different kinds of humans that existed before we came. So what he did was he was able to establish the gene transfer occurred between extinct hominins and Homo sapiens. And the basis of his research has found that provided the basis for exploring what makes us uniquely human. So based on this now, we can then begin to explore the possibility that other kinds of humans existed, although we are the only type that exists
this
today.
type now, yeah.
But according to, based on his findings, there's a possibility that there were
other types
that
of human
existed
beings
before we came, and
I think they
then
are
morphed
parallel
those.
worlds.
I believe
Well,
so.
those are conversations for another day.
I believe so.
But possibly, I don't know.
I believe so.
We've tried to go to a few planets.
Yeah, I can't even leave this test to say I'm going. I can
another
go from another country to another, but I will leave this
Mars,
our
I can't live
own
in Mars.
Earth.
Maybe somebody's trying to get us to Mars. Okay, let's move on.
You are going?
No. I'm good here. Let's move on to Daily Sun. PDP G5 gives Atiku conditions for support. Ohaneze insists on Igbo president. FG considers China's newly certified plane for Nigeria Air. Rivers APC tackles Southwest governors over romance with Wike. Nigeria needs leaders with capacity, says Gbajabiamila. Police to probe attack on Obi supporters, says PPRO. And presidency PFN advises Nigerians on candidates and parties to vote for. Okay, which story are we taking?
The police PRO in Lagos said that, that they would investigate the mob attack on the Labour Party flag bearers at the Oshodi Park. So the witness account was that they were protesting or doing a rally at Oshodi, and that, they had their flags, and that because of that, the touts attacked them. The person that was giving the account said that once one of them was picked up, he ran, took a cab, but before he was able to get out of the park, they found the cab, brought him and beat him with that tout. They beat them to pulp. They were about to lynch them before a courageous soldier rescued them from that attack. And he said he kept hearing the Oga at the park insisting, that they should be burnt, that they should be lynched, they should beat their Luwen, that kind of
Who? Supporters of...
The supporters of the Labour Party presidential candidates who were walking around rallying with the flags. And the police bureau of Lagos says that as soon as they get an official report on that, they will do an immediate investigation of that, and that they will bring the culprits to book.
Okay, go ahead.
They should do so fast. So the Speaker, House of the Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, in Abuja yesterday, was speaking at the opening ceremony of the Legislative Mentorship Initiative. And he said that the country is in desperate need of leaders with capacity and character to govern it. He said the rest of the world is changing. Every part of the world is currently experiencing one change or the other. And the consequences of these changes will depend on how the country responds and the quality of decision that we make, especially during this political climb. So he went ahead to say, so the theme for the event was youth leadership and the future of democracy, harnessing the power of young people in Nigeria. He said some of these changes we're having now are technological, others are economical, others are political, but there's a deal of demographic and population change happening at the same time. And we need leaders that are ready to, jump on this change and make something out of it. He said the former world order is no longer working. There's a similitude of the disruption of the rule or the old world order. And right now, we need people who have capacity to manage the current trends that are coming up in order to move our country forward. So basically, let's vote wisely. Okay,
so the chairman of Ohaneze Ndigbo, Peter Mbam, was speaking in Ebonyi State yesterday and was saying categorically that they are insisting that the next president must be from the southeast geopolitical zone. According to him, that they haven't backtracked on this insistence. They're saying that they are disappointed and utterly disappointed in the way the PDP and the APC dribbled the southeast during the presidential primaries. And that... Indeed, that he also blamed some of the Igbo political leaders and delegates who sold their votes for money and voted against their candidates. However, they are still on course to have an Igbo presidency, and they are still asking that they believe in one Nigeria. They don't believe in secession, but however, they do believe that the Ndigbo must not be marginalized and should be given the support for presidency this time around. Okay, let's move on quickly now to the Vanguard. Anger wells up in APC over party leaders win Wike. Anxiety over composition of subcommittees, release of timetable. List of national honors nominees fake, says federal government. 2023, we beg God to give us the best amongst Atiku, Tinubu, and Obi. Husband ties wife to well over alleged infidelity. Boyfriend escapes. Mina Bida highway collapses again. Travelers were stranded. An irresponsible political leadership, reason for Japa syndrome, says Catholic Archbishop of Ibadan.
I took the truck driver's story. His name is Muyiwa Sikiru. So he works in out of Akure, and he was away for 3 months. He left his wife in Akure in the Okearu area to, stay with their 3-year-old kids while he would go and work, come back. So when he came back now, neighbors told him that his wife has been shacking up with one guy.
In his house?
In his house. So he went mad and ran into the house, dragged his wife out of the house, and tied her to the well. The boyfriend was in the shower, heard him screaming, just Japa.
Are you serious? So you didn't catch the guy?
He didn't catch the guy.
See, calculation is better. He should have been calm.
Why would he tie with an adult, a grown woman?
My wife now.
So that she will not hate the escape.
No.
So I don't know why he tied her, but then they all landed up in the police station and they're saying that they must find that boyfriend and they must charge him.
Yeah.
He should also be charged for assault. You shouldn't tie somebody, human being. On what basis? Yes, an assault now. How are you going to tie a grown person?
I'm thankful that the neighbors didn't let him harm her. Yeah. So it was just the tying. That can be sorted, please.
It's wrong.
That's why you need to always relax. This is a crime of passion.
Exactly, and you will get away with
Nobody
this
a crime of passion. But why can't
you not kiss somebody?
It's a crime of passion.
It's not, it's the truth. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not judging.
I'm just
saying it's a crime of passion.
A woman made a mistake.
Your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, you left her in the house.
Made a mistake.
And she wants to do rubbish. She came to the house with the rubbish. She shouldn't have. She disrespected him.
It's not a hot topic, please. Can we read this? Let's focus on
They say the list of national nominees where we read yesterday with pride is fake. The presidency, Federal Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs say it's fake. That they will not agree. That even though the president is going to do, national honors by 11th of October, but this list is not the real one.
The authentic list.
And so Nance is already protesting the one that came out. That imagine the Minister for Education that under him, ASU cannot say they've completed a session in a year, is nominated for national honors.
They wouldn't even. Someone that was listening to the radio today, they said they nominated the president's doctor. So the guy on the radio was saying, president's doctor, okay. He's the one that has been treating him in London.
Abroad, exactly, I agree. I agree, because I don't think there's a doctor here.
So quickly, Mina, the Bida-Mina highway has collapsed for the second time this year following the heavy rainfalls, and is now forcing the users, commuters, to take bush paths to go to their different destination. Said it's become an annual ritual for the bridge to be collapsing, and that's around Sabungida village, a few kilometers away from Mina, the state capital. So it collapses every rainy season. Now, the road is a major highway linking motorists traveling from the southern part of the country to the north, especially from Lagos, Kwara to Niger, Abuja. And the present administration had awarded a contract to construct 100-kilometer road to Dantata and Sawoy in 2018. They had an elaborate ceremony and they put commissioning, and they put about 20 billion for this, and yet we still have the road collapsing every rainfall. It says since the takeoff of the project, only about 6 kilometers of the road out of the 89 kilometers have been graded, with only about 4 kilometers asphalt, asphalt that was laid.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So they're asking that the federal government does something quickly about this. They need to do the road so that people can
Let
have
me just quickly take
access.
the Nigerian Tribune. Let's see. How flood crippled the north. Lynched leaders were terrorists from Sudan. BEPU replies Kaduna government. 3-story building collapses in Ibadan. Those are the 2 news stories. Who has that?
Okay, I have the lynched elders. So 2 elders were lynched in the Benin Gwari Emirates area in Kaduna State. And the Benin Gwari Emirate Progressive Union says that although they are saddened by this lynching, but they've investigated it and found out that these elders are what they called terrorists from Sudan. And that they've always terrorized that area. They also appreciated the police for investigating the crime and, you know, investigating the lynching, but that they've found out that they are foreigners. I think that lynching in any form, there's nothing justifying it just because they're foreigners.
Yeah.
If they are arrested,
they're criminals.
Just because.
But then they escape.
No.
This is a topic to talk. This is a conversation.
You know, it could
we
have
should
been worse. They were lynching, thinking they were lynching headers. And it could have been an innocent
farmer.
And there could be reprisals, and you then have continuous back and
forth,
forth, costing lives there.
That's why it's always good to hand them over to the security.
Exactly.
officials.
This help yourself is a problem.
You're right. That's all we can take on front page review. When we come back, we start with our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So for several decades, flooding has been a major menace in various parts of the country. And this year in particular, we received several warnings of flood that was going to ravage about 18 states. I remember reading that story several times. So the issue of our conversation, the crux of our conversation today is not so much about the flood, but the response to the flood, the preparedness for the flood. The reaction for the flood is our conversation today, because many homes were destroyed. We reference what happened in Kogi, there were quite a few in Kaduna, Kano, Adamawa, Kebbi, Gombe, Sokoto, Borno. Quite a number of states experienced flooding this year. And lots of houses were submerged. I know that in Kwara, I think Kogi, there were a few homes that were built in preparation for this. So a few governors were able to make some type of arrangement. We don't know how far that arrangement has gone and how many lives were able to be saved. But there are some states that totally, completely ignored the warnings of NIMET when they are telling us particularly that these, the rains are coming and the floods were going to be enormous this year. Now, what are your thoughts on the preparedness of the government to protect the people? What are your thoughts on the people's inaction? Because many of them didn't even bother. To them, like, we flood will come, where are we going to? I don't know where else to go to. So many of them were reluctant to move. And how also do you think we could have covered this story better? Hopefully, possibly to inspire next time, so to ensure that next time people actually pay attention to these warnings. Let's hear your thoughts on this. You can call us on 08127053687, 09139076948. You can also tweet to us at TVC. Can I please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets? So, as I said, flooding was a problem. We already knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, we kept telling everybody it's coming. But my worry is government's response to it. Some governments say, I don't have money to start building apartments. I don't have money to build shelters. I don't have that kind of revenue. The revenue from FAC has totally reduced. I don't have the kind of money I need to protect. So people should take their lives into their own hands and relocate. If you have a friend, a cousin in Ogun State, you have an auntie, just move for the time of the flood. I can't take that responsibility. But is that enough, do you think, for a government to totally not take enough time to prepare for these floods?
I think it's totally wrong. I think the government hasn't done enough in protecting the lives and property of its citizens. The job of the government is beyond sitting down and just collecting allocation from allocation. The job of the government is to be proactive. So NIMET has been warning, flood is coming. These states have been earmarked. Something disastrous will happen. People need to move. It's not enough to say we don't have money. You can ask for money. When you need money for political campaigns and all of that, money used to appear from wherever. You can ask for money. I want to build so and so in the highlands for the rain so that when the rains come, these people can move there. Even if it's a temporal shelter, they can be there. That shows that government is thinking of its people. The government wasn't really prepared, if you ask me. Secondly, on the part of the citizens, I know it's not easy to just move houses. You have built your life around this area. You are doing, your children are attending school here. Things are happening around here. So it will not be very easy. But when it comes to life, shouldn't we at least pay attention to that life? In Taraba, they said 50 farmers died as a result of the flood. And most of them were women. People lost their lives. So you know that this would affect me. Right now, my government is not thinking for me. You think for yourself. You find relatives. You just leave that area. They are in every state, no matter how flooded the plan of the state is. They are always high lands that you can, you know, camp a bit. Just stay there till the rains are over, and then you come back and resume your life. So the responsibility is on all of us. It's not just government. While we are hounding government for not doing enough, the people also need to take their life in their hands.
Lima, your thoughts on this? Because, I mean, we all recently witnessed the hurricane in Florida. I mean, and many homes were destroyed. So because somebody will ask the question, why would you build houses where in the flood-prone areas? Because many of these people know that these areas that we build houses is flood-prone. Because, I mean, government will give you the CO to build, but the truth is that many of them do know. The same way we see other houses also abroad. They build, you wonder, why are they building houses along the coastal lines? Yes, you build houses, but they know that hurricane will come at some point. So how could we have prevented this, or how do we better ensure that this doesn't happen again?
So one of the things we could have done, because we, fortunately, ours is not an hurricane or monsoon rains that are heavy. It's flood due to the rising level of the River Niger, especially in Lokoja and some of the states along the Chad River where the dams are. The Cameroon dam, when it's opened, affects. So most of the states affected are about 27, and they are, because they are along that line. So for us, it is just that higher level. If we had floating houses, for instance, if it ever occurred to us that there's something called floating houses, so that when government is approving, it is only that kind of house that can be situated along that area. See the houses that we're talking about in Lokoja, they are cement built in permanent structures. If water comes, everybody died. If we ever thought of floating houses, I'm just wondering, you know, you don't have to travel anywhere to know.
Aren't floating houses weaker?
You know, no. Not necessarily.
They're not being held. They're being held. They're built on pillars, right?
For those of us who, you know, we like to acquire. For those of us who like to acquire something, imagine that you acquire your TV and once the water go up, you're just floating. Wherever you land, you're safe. You don't lose properties and you don't necessarily lose lives. What the report is saying that I read over yesterday till this morning is that 300 people died. Another report on Wikipedia is saying 736 people died. Unnecessary lives lost. And then government on their part should always, regulate. Before you give out licenses for building, approvals for any of such buildings, you must consider the disaster that is most likely in that region, in that area. Then number two, government must also look at the livelihood of people. So if your business is not fishing, you're not an Awori person, for instance, in Lagos, you don't know what it is to live in a riverine area, why do you just want to go and buy so you can be seeing water? Do you understand? There must be, we can do it along people's occupation. We have the history. We know the areas where people live and they do. This River Niger, if we invest well in it, we will never import fish. True. We are not looking at it. It's just sad.
I mean, in fairness to Kogi State, because I know that, according to the report that I read, 2 estates were built for this, especially as a result of the 2012 flooding that happened. They called them the Flood Enclave and the Wada Enclave. So these enclaves were built specifically
for times
like this. However, not every state has the capacity to build such. So that's why people also must take responsibility to evacuate. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to just move?
Please, quickly, because you read out that, can you confirm if NEMA or Kogi State Emergency Rescue Management have helped people to that enclave? Are they utilizing it?
I don't have that report now, but we can find out.
I just wanted to say, when we talk about Florida, their own flooding was the result of a hurricane. Our own is every year.
They open the dam now, so it has to be open.
Every year that they open the dam. So before you open the dam,
you not go prepare.
Aren't you supposed to be responsible enough to say, oh yeah,
out.
Dam is about to open.
Evacuate.
Everybody.
By force.
If you don't drum it into, there are some people who don't drum it into their ears, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, true.
During COVID, it should be, if they didn't drum it into our ears, it should be supposed to be hugging and kissing. It's true. There are things that you have to keep on telling people. You have to keep sensitizing people. So every year, you know that the dams are going to be open. In fact, if you leave, we have 10,000, because like Obiajulu said, it's not easy to pack up your load and go. No. I don't know if someone tells me now, pack up your load and leave your house.
Where do I start from?
Where am I going? I don't know. Now the only house where I get.
You know, Waike, I have a friend. I went to her house and she told me that her house was barely kind of scanty. You know, she didn't really put a lot of things. She didn't have a lot of nice. And I'm like, oh, your house is really nice and fine house, but you didn't put any decorations, because I'm always between states, different. I'm going to different countries. Today I'm in England. Today, you know, so she doesn't invest in buying all these nice fixtures for the house. Even the only house just one TV, and there's a small TV upstairs. Living room,
she can easily live up and go.
So because that's her decision. There are people where I'm living in a flood-prone area. You already know the area. It's not where you start buying this and it's somewhere like, well, this is our lifestyle. Same thing with those living in certain areas in abroad. They know that the hurricane or the whirlwind can come. They go to the basement. They lock up. They know even the wind will come and blow out the entire house. But they are safe in the basement because they are prepared. They know that's the area they're living in. They're not living in New York for heaven's sake. So, based on the area you live in, can't you therefore, I mean, an option is the floating house, which I don't know about.
I love that.
But there are other ideas, or the governments can say, okay, this is this 9 local governments that was sacked in Kogi. These are the areas that will be affected. This is where you can go once the floods are coming. So some states were somewhat prepared, others weren't. So as much as, yes, government can do better, we, the people too, we have a role to play, don't you think?
Yeah.
My point is... Okay. Sorry, Julu. My point is that, yes, I have a responsibility. But if you tell me to pack my load, where am I going? Have you made, apart from Kogi, have you made any, maybe there's a place where everybody can go?
Yeah, shelters.
During that time.
Yes.
You can't just tell me to pack. I should pack or I should walk into the forest. Or do
ordinary
I can't just pack my load and go
ordinary Hollywood movies. Let's even go to Hollywood movies. You see them with the fire trucks.
Yeah.
Announcing, come out, they're going around the communities, out, everybody back. People are carrying their cars and leaving town because the flood or the hurricane is coming.
So let the government not assume that everybody can think for themselves. That's why you have... We don't just...
That's why you are government.
Yes, we don't even just drop from the sky. We have to be born. A parent will give birth to you and then nurture you to get to a certain stage where you can take decisions for yourself. Now, when you decide to be a leader, you are responsible for taking decisions for the majority of the people who especially cannot take decisions for themselves. Most of these people are very local. Most of them are illiterate. They do not know their left from their right in terms of not as an insult, but in terms of how do I better protect myself? They are not in that space. They are only thinking about survival. How do we eat? How do we? That's where they are. So it's government's responsibility to think for such people. I like the idea she just mentioned. When I was in Maldives, we saw the houses that they built on water. And it's just wood. If government, where there's a will, there's a way. If government is insistent and saying, this is what we need for this area, they will make it. They will make it happen. It will even be cheaper to build. We're not using cement this time around. It's just wood. So you find a structure to hold it down and you build it in those areas.
See, we have our own.
Government.
The two of you have reputation for being engineer. This and engineer. Now you know.
We need to start looking at, especially the elites in those environments. Start looking at the governors that you're going to be electing going forward. Can they sit down and think for the future? Are they future ready? Or are we still going to be doing this every year? Every year we're talking about flood. Next year again on this show, we sit down, we talk about flood again, how many people have died.
Let me go on a break.
Shouldn't we be looking at leaders who are future ready? All right,
let's go on a break. When we come back, Engineer BC and Nima would advise us further on how to build quality houses during flood. Stay with us, Ibrahim.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the flood that happened. Not just so much the flood, but more of people's reaction to the flood. You can call us again on the numbers on your screen, 081-270-53-687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTV so we can read your tweets. I'd particularly like to hear from people from up north who have experienced this flooding. What happened? Share your story with us. We'd definitely like to hear from you. Yes, Nima, you're going to say something.
So I was going to say that, Maldives example BC was giving is not far from us. It's just that it's not as sophisticated as we would like. So any government, any right-thinking government, rather than look down at a solution, because people on that Makoko area, they're not daft people. They found a way to survive flood. Yeah. They found a way to exist on water. And that's the solution that we're looking for our own flood that is not heavy wind flood. It's just, water levels rising and, dams like that.
When the water level is not rising and they have normal ground, they don't start staying floating houses
No, but
again.
they're okay there. Steps. They know how to live on water. So when water comes, it doesn't bother them. Yeah. When water goes, it's fine for them. They know how to exist there. Yeah. We can improve it. We can improve it. It's rather than look down at it and say, I want your mark, okay, and then turn them to emergency case every day. Somebody will come from abroad, come and do video of their documentary. Every kind of poverty, we put it there. We can improve that. We can, make it beautiful. And people can then start to have the opportunity to own licenses for properties along the area. It's property.
Some might argue, Nima, let me tell you, some might argue, I'm just going to say the side of government. Some might argue that the little budget I have, I want to focus on education, healthcare. Flooding right now, I cannot
Nobody's make you build that more. Don't mistake it, too. When the department in charge of what can sustain longer knows what the standard is, all they do is approve for somebody else to go and use their money to invest in it. Too.
Simple.
Nobody asked government to leave education and come and do it. Too. Nobody has said that. Then I wanted to quickly answer to what YK said that people, where would they go? If you insist on living in a flood-prone area, you should plan. You should know that within this season to this season, rain will come. Yeah. This is the fund I have to go and hotel myself in a higher ground and come back. And don't buy property that you need to be moving. Yeah. Or you buy speedboats, like Kufemi used to say. Buy something that will help you. Invest right. It's your choice to live there. We can do that, but we have not really touched the matter. The matter on ground is the emergency response to the flood that happened in those areas in Nigeria. This call.
Good morning, are you there? It's been holding for a while.
No, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, sir.
All right. First of all, I want to say that. Can you hear me?
Very clearly, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to first of all say that we have very responsible government in place. Number one, in the way I live, there is only one way, that is Dagaja Road, that leads to link the east down to the north. That road is terribly bad, and the federal government have refused to attend to it. If I say terribly bad, I mean terribly bad. That road has been flooded now, and people are using to go to drive on it to carry people from the other side to the one side to the other. There is only one bypass that the government of the would have done. That is to have bypass the fire. That road would have seen the situation that we are facing today. That road was not, the government did not do anything. Now, let me tell you one more thing. The government is so irresponsible. That most of what we are struggling with this case, it's not just natural. Let me tell you what. If the dam in Cameroon is going to be the reason why we have collateral damage in the case, the government of Nigeria should have discussed with the government of Cameroon. Because if you are going to release the dam at our expense, you need to let us know why we should pay for the damages that we have to pay for by you releasing your dam. We also have dam in Nigeria. We have Kenji Dam in Nigeria. And let me tell you one more thing. We are facing a situation whereby people have to be using canoe to cross from one side to the other. And today, as we are talking, the government did not provide any flying boat to ease the movement of people crossing from one side to the other. Very soon, people can't go to Abuja from Lokoja. And there's no one single flying boat provided by the government to carry people across where there is flood. Now, they are talking about palliative, and I can bet you that all the palliative things that they are preparing, there are some people in government who are going to eat the money, who are going to sell it, like the way the other palliative worked down last time. They are going to be making money. So we have a government that is benefiting from our problem. This time, the has never happened.
I'm having difficulty hearing you properly, but I think I got a bit of what you said. So there are a few things he raised. He raised the issue of roads. Only one road leading out of the town, and it's really bad in itself. Secondly, the government did not provide transportation or the accessibility, either with speedboats or something to move the people, especially when the floods are coming.
Yeah.
Thirdly, he said
the Kanji Dam,
yes, having a communication, having a conversation
before they open, they should have
a conversation with the other country to ensure that to mitigate the effects of opening that dam. And also, I think there was one last thing he said. But the point is that there are better ways that we could have handled this. And I think it all goes back to the government not taking appropriate steps to ensure that people move to safety before this flood. Because as I said, the way it happened this year, it has never happened like this before. So maybe other people felt that maybe this flood will just manage it, to just get up to my living room. After a few days, it flows away. But this one was particularly different. And I know Naimet mentioned it, but maybe they didn't ring it enough.
They did not ring it. So for me, you are mentioning something and you're speaking English. You are highlighting it. We are warning.
It's possible they went to the communities.
No, we need to hear the noise. We need to see the noise. After hearing, we now see the noise. We need to see what's it called? Flyers, billboards. We need to. It needs to be ringing in the hearts of men. So everywhere you go, in the motor parks, in the market, you will see that there's a noise. There's a bell ringing somewhere. People from so and so should move. Oh, this is happening this time and this time. Oh, this is how you sensitize the people. This is how you show seriousness. As this matter that we are talking about is a very serious matter, and you need to prepare yourself. But when you just write it in the papers, you just say it once in a while on TV, how many people will really take you serious?
How many people will read papers?
That's why we say government is local. The local government, the people, the Yalojas, the Babalojas, the chairman, the council, those are the people that are talking to, those are the leaders that are supposed to talk to the people. What did they do? We don't know what they did, though, but maybe they did something.
There's also the effect of climate change. The rains that we're seeing now is not the normal seasonal. Rains just fall in and out of season now, anyhow.
Yeah. Yes,
so we're
it's still raining now.
Yes, now, but you know, before you could calculate, the farmers could predict that, okay, during this season, no, this is when we are farming, this is when floods come, and you know how to plan. But now, look at what the level of loss they suffered in Kebbi, for instance. Painful. The rain came, and all the plants, all the rice, just like that.
You know, so for a second, I have this cause in
you know, and the thing is that it's a ripple effect. Yeah. Once the farms are, then there is shortage of food. Yes. There will be famine. There will be drought.
Let me take this call from Christopher Waike. Let me take this question. Hold it for a minute. Good morning, Christopher. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
My experience, it's a devastating thing. I went for an event in Edo State on Friday, and I went with my family of 5. So we got to at the edge of Lokoja before the bridge. I was thinking maybe it was something that I was just little until I saw flood started coming towards us. Just to my daughter, just relax. We'll get over this. And when we saw that trailers were just moving, and the water was like almost half of the trailer, like half of it. And I said, I just told my dad, I said, just relax, let's hear what will happen. So I think the trailer started pushing the water to the side. I would just started following the trailer until I think we spent up to like 30 minutes passing that particular water. When I shared the video on my WhatsApp, people were like, did the guy use a flying boat? Because the way I was videoing it, and it was really bad. So when we were coming back from Edo State, it was bad. We had to stop. It was a no-go area. It was like I had to walk 6 kilometers from where we were to go forward to start controlling vehicles. There were trailers, spots or in the middle of the road, about 4 or 5 of them. We had to start looking for mechanics to make sure those things go off the road. It was that bad. So I just put this Kogi State governor just on the side about this jamboree of him going to going to the middle of the sea or whatever with the local boat. It does not help. Let him find a lasting solution to this thing so that people will not be having hell in their own state. It's horrible. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Christopher.
Thank you.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's take a few tweets on this.
Okay, Agent of Positive Change said the issue is people moving into such areas may not be aware of the dangers. The government knows these flood-prone areas and has neglected them over the years. Nobody would build in such areas if the government prohibits human habitation there. Yaro says every year flooding is experienced in almost all the states of the country with untold damage to infrastructure, irrespective of the sensitization and public education programs that has been done. It is inescapable that the federal government, and I think he did it.
And Tolu Adegun says Lagos is a coastal city. Do we have any refuge areas? Is there any provision for something similar when Lekki gets flooded? Where do people go?
So Yaro continues, says, it is inescapable that the federal, state and local government are also more satisfied with annual ritual of bemoaning and lamenting flood devastation than working to prevent it. This is an unfortunate commentary on the nature of government and governance in Nigeria, and until there is a radical and positive change in this attitude and character, Nigerians will have to resign themselves to the reality of annual flooding devastation in spite or perhaps because of the annual flood warnings by NEMA. And this brings to mind what NEMA did in the Lokoja, particularly Lokoja floods that happened. I know I have relatives in Lokoja, and I would hate to imagine that they are floating or they're drowning in their houses. We saw the pictures. We did not see what you would usually be judging if it was Lagos. That Lagos State, Lasema, have not bring boats to come and help people to dry lands. I would expect Lokoja is a confluent city, constantly facing two rivers. You should by now have your water emergency, all of those solutions flying everywhere. And this is the time to flaunt it if you have it. So it's sad that government did not have such and they did not flaunt anything.
You know, I'm even surprised because that road has been in existence for years and years. When I was going on tour with the band, that is the road we passed, that Lokoja road. How can you tell me that the road is worse? They have not improved the road. You know, I don't know how we think in this country. I don't know. Something, you know, there is a cockroach in our brains. I don't know what's wrong with us. I'm not even blaming government alone. Just what is wrong with us? Why has that road not been,
fixed? Improved on.
Improved on. Not even just fixed, but improved on.
We have to wrap up. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's because there's no competition. There's no competition ongoing. So states can just be complacent, just do it with the bare minimum, and then everybody moves on. If we have a system in such a way that states are competing against each other, you will see that everybody will sit up.
Well, we have to wrap up.
Someone has said some people might not even know the places where they just moved in last month.
It's
and then they just got there this month.
They buy land.
Now rent, then they rent the house.
No,
I know that when you in other countries, when you enter a community, they tell you, oh, there are bears here. You can see foxes. They tell you that there are foxes here. So if you are new in the neighborhood, you know that if I see a fox, not as if it's going to bite me. You know, or it's a friendly fox. So there should be something to let you know you are entering the flood-prone area. So even when newcomers come into those communities, they know this is what happens here. You know, but hey, but Nigerians will also tell you that
if you see fox here, na bushmeat. Andrew says, when you think of floods in Nigeria, money has been allocated year in, year out since 1960s in these flood plains. Where does the money go? That's the main question. Into the pockets
we have to wrap up. I think this is a responsibility across board for both government and the people. Government will tell you that, listen, there are more important things that is doing us in Nigeria than, you know, that an argument the government can say, oh, please, I have just 100 million naira and this is what I'm using it for. But either way, as Busy said earlier, we must take our lives seriously. And when these floods are coming, especially with the information that NEMA are giving to us, we should also take precaution. However, NEMA is also responsible, should be responsible of ensuring the protected lives and property. The moment the floods came, make sure you start evacuating people. And if indeed you have equipment, this is the perfect time for you to show that you have
Cameroon is going to tell you, we are opening our dam next week.
Now, it's the same time every year. They know they open.
They know they change. We have a call from Lokoja, our last call. Good morning. Are you there, sir?
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
My name is Shani Samuel.
Yes.
I'm calling from Lokoja.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I really appreciate you guys for
Thank you.
program. You see, this issue, 2012, 2013, the flood is very, very high. And I can remember it was PDP period. I'm not talking about politicians. I'm not talking about APC and PDP now. But I'm just trying to make an emphasis on something. My father has a house situated in Jakura Mabu, and far from where the water is. But there is a little culvert that whenever the flood comes, we usually follow through the culvert down to our area and overflow the whole place. So 2013, they built a place for, they call the place a low-cost building. They call it a flood house team area. But lo and behold, they allocated it to those people that is not even concerned. The water did not even touch their area. The water did not even do anything for them. They allocated it to those people. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm talking now, if we can check, people there occupying the place, their house was not taken over by water. So now, this year, there's water. I bet you, the governor of Kogi State and the entire crew, they did not even do anything. There's a road link Enugu, Ayokba, all those places down to Lokoja that follow Ghana, they call it Galaja Road. Water and take over the place. There's another road at the back of 200 units that links to Galaja village. That government is supposed to do something for the people to pass through. About 2 weeks ago, I have an opportunity to talk to one of their leaders there, that this is what they can do for people so that people will be able to cross, at least life will be easy, and that one will boost their own need. But lo and behold, these people, they did not turn up to do anything. What is my concern is this water is affecting some people, some area that is not, they are not even in the riverbank. Such people, they are homeless and they are not even seeing any assistance. And these things are coming from NEMA and all that to help these people, but nothing's done. Nothing has been done for these people, including my father. I'm talking from the experience and from the problem that I'm facing. I don't have anything that I can use to help my father. But at least if government can assist them, it will be very, very okay.
All right.
But
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi. I mean, I think it has pretty much wrapped up the situation that many Nigerians are faced with in Lokoja. And it's not just Lokoja, there's so many other states, local government areas that this is affected. And one of the things people complain is has been somewhat underreported by the media, because abroad when this has happened, it's like the focus.
Yeah,
like
everybody's
back
talking
every
about
single
it.
day.
Yeah.
They collapse everything else and focus because lives are involved.
When the hurricane is coming, they will tell you, Hurricane Ian is coming.
Yeah.
It will be here in 2 days. They will I was in New York
and there's
once
a countdown.
when the hurricane was coming. If you see the way they were drumming it in our ears,
we have to make noise about it.
We were shaking.
So that's where the fourth realm comes in, because we also have a role. We have a role actually as a media. Media's job is to ensure that we support the government. So the government has said this. What have we done? Where we've collapsed. Usually when things like this happen, you collapse every other thing. Nothing else is about, because they put lives first.
Yeah.
Here, lives is secondary. So we focus on other things, politics, so they're doing rally, or they're doing this. Other things are more important than these innocent lives that are about to be affected by the flooding. So everybody has a learning curve in this. We the people, we the media, and even the Nigerian government. So I think it's a learning curve that we can all also, yes, we are the fourth realm. So we must also take responsibility for where we've fallen short. Okay, I think that's all we can take on this. When we come back, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So there was a story that caught our attention online, and there was a story that many parents are familiar with and can relate with. So what happens is that a blogger was talking about the fact that parents are forced to continually buy new books for their children, especially because nowadays, when you buy books for the first child, activity workbooks are within the textbooks. So usually when we're growing up, you have a textbook, which is what you use for referencing, and then there's either a notepad or an activity book that is separate from your textbook. Right now, both activity workbook is attached or is connected with the textbook such that each child now has to do the workings within the textbook. What that means for a parent is that every single child, so like with that has 4 kids, I got to buy that textbook 4 times, you know. So we're saying that is this necessary? Was this some kind of revenue-making gimmick? I mean, can parents come together and protest this and say, why don't you just go back to a textbook? Must we continually buy textbooks? That's actually it's a very short conversation, but what are your thoughts on this piece? Let me come to you.
There are different sides to it. One is population control. You know that you're going to be buying textbooks. You don't bomb plenty that you cannot take care of. That is one. Secondly,
how that concern publisher or the parent or the school?
All of them join. Somehow we have to find a way to control population. If you leave people, they go just they born. You born 3, they're asking you, when are you having the 4th one? When are you having the 4th one? When are you having the one for the road? Now you go help me train them. You're asking questions. How do you even know if I have the emotional capacity to handle them? So it's a form of population control. If you know you can buy all the textbooks, oh yeah, keep burning. That's it. Secondly, the way the world is, we're not very good with intellectual property. So sometimes most of the people who write these textbooks and all that, they don't really make money where you are recycling up and down. Imagine your children finish, you hand it over to my children. I finish, I hand over to Nima. Somebody that writes something cannot make money. So they have to make it in such a way that you have to keep buying to also boost their business. So as you are praying that business comes for you, also pray that the publisher and the writer will still have business. Let's be considerate of them. Okay. That's secondly. Then thirdly...
Don't finish the show.
I'm not finishing the show. Thirdly, okay, let me leave it.
Yeah, Nima, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
I would like to hear that your thoughts.
Go ahead, Nima. Let me hear your thoughts on this. Do you think we should go back to how it used to be when we were growing up? Or do you agree with Bisi that, listen, times have changed and these are part of how we used to inject money into our economy?
Yes, this is purely a business decision for book publishers and writers. It is not about any... population control. They're just and it's sad that they are taking business decisions like this and they're still not doing quality books. If you see one very extensively big for nothing book that my daughter has to read, the print quality is not the same. So I remember our textbooks. We had one per year from primary to primary 6, primary 1 to 6. And each of those books, I used the one my other sisters use. How many years there between us that I cannot use their books? But the books were quality books. They didn't even tear. These ones now, they are low-quality books that she has to write inside, and yet they're not even strong. They're not durable. They're not feel last. So even me, I'm already saving money to buy. So I'm wondering, when will the regulators come in to make sure that if you are not publishing, if you are not spending money, you are selling photocopy standard, Kukuma, let us photocopy the book.
Why don't we? That's copywriting.
But why don't they do it like this? They can have the textbook, then they can have workbooks.
Thank you.
So you now buy...
You'll be changing the workbook.
I never talk about
workbook.
Yeah. No, it's not workbook they are doing now. Most of these books...
That's what I'm saying. I know, but I'm just saying that why don't they do it so that...
Yeah. So books used to come with workbooks in our days. So you had my introductories to this one, technical drawing book work. I had a workbook. My integrated science, I had the workbook on the side, and I still wrote notes. And my textbook, now the one my senior sister then used, I use them. You know, and it was so strong. I still go home and I see the books. Maybe the front page is finally off now, but it lasted over. The book I used for my English exams in my WAEC, I've been using it to do lesson for my neighbor's children since. The book never tear. You know, yes, and you don't have to write inside. But these days, they don't do workbooks. The workbook come inside the book, and you find this answer spaces inside. When the teacher is even giving the child, they are giving the child only that book to bring home. So when you want to write and put. I remember one day I unknowingly opened a new exercise book, and the school said, no, it doesn't have our whatever on it. They can only use our exercise book with our own print on top of it for assignment, and the assignment was supposed to be in the textbook. So you know clearly that this is a market move. I just accept it. Let me just stick to my 2 children and face raising them. But the truth is, the quality of the book is still an issue.
So quality is one thing. We're not focusing on it, but the issue is that why are parents complaining about buying books additional books, because don't you even think it's also part of the mentality you give to a child when you don't have to call pass down. This is yours. I remember someone was telling me that recently her daughter is a medical doctor.
Okay.
And when they were having a conversation, her daughter was just telling her casually, "Mom, you never bought me a bicycle." She said, "Really?" She said, "Because first you gave bought for the firstborn, then you bought for the secondborn, then you somehow skipped me, then you bought for the lastborn." She said, "But by the time you came, the other one, the bike of the secondborn was still okay. You can, so, but you think about that child that you don't, there's some children that don't know, they never experience getting any new thing because they're constantly taking from somebody else. That's what you did. You constantly taking from your sisters.
Yeah, and it builds your mindset.
That's right.
It builds your mindset.
Thank you.
I've been studying some certain people that I want to pattern myself with. Just pattern, just see how I can maybe adopt some things that they have tried out. And I realized that everything a child gets growing up, everything a child sees growing up, everything a child experiences growing up builds that child. It builds that mentality. If you go into the university, you see different categories of people. There are people who are very prudent. There are people who are spendthrifts. There are people, as their pocket money is coming, is finishing. There are people who are clean, because of how they have been brought up. So all these hand-me-downs somehow have a way of affecting your psyche and giving you that limiting belief that sometimes you're not good enough for the new things. So I'm very careful. That's why I say, burn the one you can handle. I know you would disagree, but it's okay. Burn the one you can handle and do your best to give everything that you can so that they would have a life and also understand in that life that they can have more, they can achieve, they can aspire. There are some people I see. Yeah.
I wanted to disagree quickly with you.
No, I just wanted to ask her, you can hand down and then you can still buy new things.
Why not?
You can mix it.
So what we complain
as a businesswoman now?
So something that is
wait
good.
Now, our Miriam don't write book. Do you think she will like it that one book for one school, the whole children will use it?
No.
How will she make money? Let's be realistic here. It's business. I put in my head, my brain, to make your children better. And you will not
they send to different schools now. Now only one school they go.
How many did they buy?
You know our population
now. If all their children will be
3 minutes conversation.
hand down, how we publish a chop?
That's what I want to
How will editor chop? How will the writer chop?
Make I explain something.
Let's
Please,
see.
this is an English speaking show. This is an English speaking show.
If I want borrow wig, I not borrow.
Okay.
No, I don't
not borrow wig.
I don't borrow.
Okay, I think we're going to go to break now.
So when you have kids and your kids are of the same gender, it is only a prudent parent who knows that handing down is normal. So if you think it's affecting the psyche of your child, explain to that child.
Sometimes it's not prudent.
I had sisters and they were bigger till I got taller. And by the time I got taller, I got new things. And, so they had to adjust. If you talk about psyche, it was worse when my elder sister had to start wearing my own clothes because I got bigger. So
Nima, there's a place where you wear and then you give out to people and then you buy fresh ones for the children.
You must teach that child to accept it from a place of love. When I started my business, I thought I was buying.
This thing started with the publisher. Now, we're talking about publisher.
When we condemn some family values,
no, it's not condemning.
We must look at when you say hand me down affects psyche, let's look at the good side of it. There are good sides to it. No, maybe you are an only daughter, for instance. You are an only daughter.
Does it?
Yes, no.
People have different experience.
Buying new things for entitled children raises entitled children.
Affecting psyche could mean different things.
It could
be positively,
and it can be
negatively. So how you see it?
Buying new for all children sometimes raises entitled children.
Yeah, so there are different kinds of psyche. So
let's do
let me take
Let
me take Juliet now. People are making me speak English now.
On the show.
Good morning, Juliet. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
English is not my language.
I totally agree with Odajuru. Odajuru is making sense. She spoke the reality. The teachers, the owners of school, they have to keep reproducing. The reason is not because they want to, they just want to have fun or do it because of or having bias in doing it. The essence of it is for them to make money, you understand, boost to their purse now. Me, I have 2 children, and I know I buy those books too. But I will not be buying a book for the second person. One person will use, second person will use, and it continues. Now. Things have changed now.
Things are costly.
Okay, thank you. I have to let me wrap up with you.
No, I just wanted to say, when they buy different dresses for the same dress for the 3 girls, that's new things now. So the person selling clothes don't say. So why are you saying, somebody says, yeah, say you have emotional issues.
I saw it.
We have to wrap up, but I think let's go back. The focus is, the reason why I brought up this issue is because we're asking the question, should parents begin to raise an objection to this system where parents, we cannot hand things down over to siblings. So that's the issue, that should we begin to raise an objection because parents are tired of the fact that they're constantly having to buy new books for their kids. It's a conversation to have, maybe at PTA meetings, doing various, functions. Let us see, we need to know. And can we also understand the side of the publisher and the writer that, listen, make them chop, like BC said. It is Tuesday, I have to go on a break.
Buy new ashwebi for weddings.
I have to go on a break.
Buy books for our children.
It's Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm told I have one more call. Modupe, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, I'm live. Good morning, my first time.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning, good morning. Yes, I just listened to what you guys are debating on passing down books and, close to your siblings. I think that it is just normal. If in the old days, if my brother used a book and I'm using that subject, it's just normal for me to use it, but if it's not destroyed or anyhow, it's just normal for me to use it. If you are talking about clothes and you have the same gender, like I have 2 daughters, at times I will just see my other daughter's clothes on the junior one. After, are you using your size now? Say yes, my sister gave it to me. It's just a place of love, and if I want to shop for them, I buy things for both of them at the same time.
All right. Thank you so much.
You can wear a sister's clothes.
So it depends on how you look at it. So we have to wrap up, YK.
I handed my clothes over to my daughter.
It's not close. We started this conversation.
My daughter handed her books.
All we can take
over to publishers and the writers right now. They need to make money.
We have to wrap up, YK. I have a guest.
It's not workbook, but textbooks.
Okay, we have to wrap up. Let's go on a break. This was just supposed to be a 5-minute conversation.
We can spread this.
It. When we come back, we'll bring in our guest from Dorcas Foundation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still talking about children, but this time cancer in children. Will be interviewing our guest from Dorcas Foundation, Dorcas Cancer Foundation. Olufumilayo Fagbemide. She's a medical expert from the Dorcas Foundation. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you for having me.
So we know Dorcas Foundation is a friend of the house because Nima is she's somebody who's very passionate about cancer in children, and she's worked very closely with your foundation. Tell us a bit more about the Dorcas Foundation and what your experiences are on a daily basis and what are your needs at this time.
Okay, so Dorcas Cancer Foundation was founded 7 years ago because we noticed in recent times or over time, people know about breast cancer in women, they know about prostate cancer in men, but people don't really put children and cancer in the same sentence because every time you come, oh, this child have cancer, they say, God forbid, it's not my child and all of that. So we don't get people to know about cancer. So what Dorcas Cancer Foundation is doing, like, we need to create awareness. People need to know that, yes, children really do come down with cancer, and there are things you can do when this happens. There are things you can look out for when you, whenever you're raising your children. Not like every step of the way, you keep checking your child every day, but like when you see red flags, there are things you need to do. So that's what the Dorcas Cancer Foundation is trying to do. And we're doing that by trying to raise funds. We create awareness periodically. Like I say a lot, like September is not enough to talk about childhood cancer. We need to talk about it every month. In fact, even if it's every day, it's still not going to be enough. People need to know that children do come down with cancer. And what we're trying to do, we create awareness, we do research, because it's a different thing for you to fund the cancer, and it's a different thing for you to, let's find out what exactly is causing this cancer. What can people do? How can we intervene? What can we do to push this cause forward? So that's part of what the Dorcas Cancer Foundation is also doing. And then we train healthcare workers, because it's not a one-man thing. It's not something just an oncologist can sit and say, okay, yes, I can be everywhere at the same time. We need to train people to know what to do, who to refer to. When you see this, what should you do? Who can I send this child to?
Okay.
You know, and people need to be aware to be able to do that.
Okay.
If a nurse in a primary health care center doesn't know what to see or what to look out for, they'll just refer the child home and just write anti-malaria or typhoid medication or something and just send the child home. But when you've trained them to, okay, this is what I should look out for. When I see this, let me refer this child to a pediatrician.
Right.
Let me do this. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do.
I love the fact that you mentioned partnering with, health care workers and some basic or primary health care services like nurses.
Yes.
How has that been? What changes have you seen? How productive has that been?
Okay, so I would say, like, in fact, it's been positive all the way, at least to an extent. It's not giant stride, like, we are not there yet, but little change matters. Like, we are seeing positive change, you know. For the health cares that we've been to, we shared questionnaire before, before we start, and for each time we go there, before any intervention, before we start training them, we hand them questionnaires. Let's even know what knowledge you have of this childhood cancer. Like, do you even know anything about it at all? Yeah. And then when we just shared the post-interventional questionnaire, okay, yes, these people now I know about this. Yeah, they are aware and they are doing the right thing. They know what to do, and it's been positive. At least to an extent, the prevalence rate has increased because people are now referring these kids to the hospital. They know what to do. It's not like when they see this, they'll just, write you medication and send you home. Right. They're actually doing well now.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that the foundation does a lot of research. So I would like to ask you, what are the statistics of Nigerian children who are down with this cancer, and what are some of the signs or symptoms that would tell you that this child is likely to have cancer?
Okay, so unfortunately, we are not 100% there. Like, we are still on that route. We are on the way. So we don't have a true data, like a figure, like to total how many cancers we see in a year. But in Luz, the oncologists in Luz, they can say, like, they see about 20 new cases every month. And globally, there are 400,000 cases globally every year. So, so these people are coming, right? And we are trying to, let them know, like, when you see a child, it's not a one shoe fits all kind of thing. It depends on what body part has been affected by the cancer. But generally, like, for instance, let's say leukemia, when you see your child, like, this child, and children don't pretend. When they are ill, this child is sick. Do you understand? They can't pretend like, oh, mommy, I'm pretending not to be fine when I'm fine. Or like adults. Do you understand what I'm saying? No offense. But like, when a child is running fever, this child will not normally play after school. The child is not playing. Or the teacher is calling from school like, oh, this child is just unusually quiet and all of that. I'm not saying it's cancer, but like, that's a red flag. As a parent, like, my child is usually not like this. I know every Nigerian family has a nurse on speed dial, like, call mama does this thing to come and, administer this and that. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, exactly. And you have a basket and all of that. But like, when you treat the same thing over and over again, like first day malaria, second day malaria, that's a red flag. Take this child to the hospital to see the doctor.
Share a few, because when people hear foundation, just think it's so far-fetched. Oh, that's what they're doing, well done, cool share. But the truth is that you need support. And I need you to share a few of the stories you've experienced. Maybe a young boy had this type of cancer, the funds that the doctors put together, how they would do surgery. Do they care for the person in Nigeria? Do they fly them out of the country? What's the procedure? So whoever wants to support you can say, oh, okay, this is what I can, this is where the money's going to go. So what are the things, some stories you have that you can share?
Okay, so usually we get to see lots of children. It's saddening, but we get to see lots of them in clinic, they're here. And most time when they present is late. But regardless, we still try as much as possible. And good news is we have some of these modern equipment now in Nigeria, modern medical equipment now in Nigeria. So, because before, we had to fly some of them to Kenya to, do something we call a PET CT scan for imaging. But right now, we have it in Nigeria, like, it's accessible and it's cheaper because you don't have to pay the airfare and all of that. So when they come, you see these patients, you create a treatment path for them. Like, okay, it depends on what stage you're presenting. Some of them will need surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. It depends on what kind of cancer and the stage. So when we outline the treatment path, it's a lot of financial burden. Immediately you're telling them, this is surgery, this and that. You see the parents are already downcast and all of that. So what we try to do in Doctors Cancer Foundation is, yes, okay, we agree, like, you don't have enough money. But, like, how much do you have? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you have any help anywhere? Can you raise this fund elsewhere? No. Okay. How much do we have? We sit together with the parents, discuss, okay, this is how much the Cancer Foundation can help you. We're not going to give you the money, but we are partnering with pharmaceutical companies and other private parastatals too. Like, okay, if we need to do surgery, we can send you to this hospital, we'll foot the bill, you will get your care, everything. So that's what we do. And to an extent, I can say I'm really proud that we have some of the survivors, and some of them even in university right now. They are doing very well, and we invite them back to come and talk to the young children that have just been recently diagnosed. So they know, like, it's not just you. There are other people that have been there, and like, so we fund them directly when they come to clinic. We just profile them, fund them, but we don't give them the money straight up, of course. And then, like, pharmaceutical companies are on board, laboratory services too, they're on board, imaging, like, so many people, but we need more because it's never enough.
I've heard that the recovery rates in children with cancer is very high. Yeah. Is this true?
Well, it depends on the stage, but 90% when they present early, yes, it's curable. 90% when they present early. So that's another reason why we are shouting and saying this over and over again. Don't wait at home, because cancer is very, I don't want to use the word, but it's drastic. It can move from a stage 1, like from the primary site in which it's starting from, and move to a stage 4. When it's at stage 1, it's still confined. I can do something about it. It can be cured 90% of the time. But when they tell you stage 1, this child is stage 1, and then like, okay, ma, we can do this. This is like what we're going to do. And then you just, pick the child up, straight to a religious house, start doing all sorts. And then by the time you come back, it's already a stage 4. By that time, there's really, really little to nothing we can do.
Sad. All right, so what are the most popular cancers you've seen in children that is most common?
Number 1, leukemias. Okay, so yes. So
that's cancer of the blood.
Yes. An overview. Normal, every organ in the body has their cells that, they grow, they divide, and they die. But what happens in cancer is that these cells, while dividing, some of them divide into abnormal cells. And rather than die, they continue to grow and divide. They don't die. They remain there. They remain in that organ that they've originated from. So when they remain in that organ they've originated from, the normal cells are supposed to function, for instance, in leukemia. White blood cell counts are like soldiers. They're supposed to protect your body against infection and all whatnot. But these cancers, these abnormal cells are there. They become lord over that organ. They're not going anywhere, and they won't even allow you that you function. And then when they are done, like, suppressing the function of that organ, like the white cells, it affects the platelets. So you see the child coming down with fever. The child is bleeding. Like, children play a lot, but like after a couple of minutes, they bleed, and maybe apply pressure for like 1-2 minutes, it stops to bleed. But in them, they bleed for like a longer time, and then any small thing, they just start to bleed. They feel dizzy. They're always tired, and all of that. So, and then when it's done with that, the original site, it moves to another place, starts the same cycle over and over again, take over, stop those ones from doing their normal function, and then, do you understand? So that's how it works. Aside the leukemias, we also have the retinoblastoma. That's the one for the eye. So that one, usually, it starts like a small, tiny white dot in the eye. When you put off the light, the child's eye starts to, is shining like that of a cat. Yeah, so that you see that as one of the symptoms. Then you can also see that the child's eyes become red, it's swollen, and then there's this deviated gaze. Like, rather than look straight, it looks like the child is not looking. He's looking at you, but he's not looking at you.
Strabismus. Yeah. We have something called quarter-pass form.
Yeah, some of them are born with it, but and a normal child just all of a sudden starts having this strabismic gaze. You're like wondering, something is not right. My child the child wasn't like this yesterday or 2 days ago. As a parent, that's like a red flag. You need to. And then there's another one, nephroblastoma. That one is some parents, maybe while bathing their child, they notice like there's this hard mass in the child's stomach. Red flag, go to the hospital. They find like, okay, yes. So is that what I'm saying? Like, it's not maybe when you see a mass, when you see this, because some of them don't even present with a mass. In leukemia, like fever and all of that. So it depends. Like, once you see a red flag, like something is not right with my child, please.
See a red flag.
The advice is, once you notice anything abnormal in your child, take them to see a pediatrician.
Once you notice anything abnormal, like you treat it once, it's not going away. Second time again, they're still telling you it's malaria. Third time, they're telling you malaria. That's a red flag. Like, no, this can't be malaria anymore. This can't be typhoid anymore.
Like, what about those who cannot afford to go to a proper pediatrician?
Okay, so that's what we're saying. Like, when we train the healthcare workers on the community health level, it's not everybody that comes down with fever that is cancer. Do you understand what I'm saying? But, like, when you train the healthcare workers, they treat something once, twice. They know what to do. Refer the child to a general hospital. There are pediatricians there that can see the child. So for people that are like in the low economic strata, they can like go to general hospital to see pediatrician. But you can't say because malaria or anything, you're just going straight there. That's why these people are trained. It's like a chain.
So that they can identify.
Yes, identify when there's a red flag and then send you to the appropriate place. So awareness and prompt referral. Don't waste any more time, because the longer you wait, this thing, cancer doesn't yet sit down there and it's going to sit. Do you understand?
Let's talk about parents, because one of the meetings we had at the foundation, I visited one woman. She looked very well to do, but she was really confused. Her child had the stomach cancer. He was swollen. And I saw that she was very, you know, I saw that Mama Dorcas and they were talking to them. How impactful are such support and, you know, counseling of parents?
It's a lot. It's because cancer is not like malaria. You go in today, get treatment, and you walk out. Cancer is a journey. I always say it is a journey. No matter the stage, even in the early stage, it's a journey. So it's not something somebody can attack headlong. You need emotional support, psychological support, like 100%. And it's helping because when you have like somebody you can talk to, when you've been prepped, like, okay, this is what you should expect. This is what you will see along the journey. You are prepped. So when you see it, it's not just somebody dumping something on you. You are mentally aware, like, okay, yes, they told me this is going to happen. Okay, yeah, I'm prepared for it. I need to attack it. I need to be strong. I need to do this. You talk to yourself too. But if you're like naive, you don't know anything, when you see it, you're scared. You don't know what to do.
Well, how do you help? I mean, have you taken your sensitization to religious houses? And the reason is because many people would describe cancer as an affliction.
Attack.
An attack that somebody came from the pit of hell, it's from somebody's family, and then they want to start deliverance services, which is normal for us in Christendom. Yes. You know, but do you also find a way to talk to churches where when something presents, instead of how they can also counsel their members to ensure they get proper treatment, especially when it comes to children? You as an adult can choose to stay in church, but a child should be taken to for proper care.
Well, right now we are trying. But, you know, there are so many religious houses in Nigeria. You can't go, like, everywhere. Yes, you can't knock on everyone's door, which is why we're trying to, like, maybe doing conventions and all of that, if we can chip it in. But, like, they are getting on board, too. So I'm really happy that people are, you know, getting sensitized now. Like, children do come down with cancer. And these religious leaders, too, are aware. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, but we need to do more. We need to do more. We don't mind partnering with them. It's not an affliction. It's not spiritual. Like, if you do the right thing, this thing can be cured, this thing can go. Yeah. But we just need people's positive, you know, open-minded. They need to be open-minded to be able to see that.
Do you think that over the years, the cancer in children has increased? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, our phones, our electronics, putting them on your legs, your laptop is giving cancer. People give their kids these devices. Yeah. So do you think it has increased because of these or it's just the same?
I would say not. The reason why it has increased now is because we have diagnostic tools. To detect it. Because before now, when you come in and then we tell you have to fly you here, you have to do this test, you have to do that, everybody, they run. So that way you can't even detect what the problem is. But now that we have this thing in our backyard, do you understand? If a child comes down with this, I can send it to this diagnostic center to run these certain scans and all of that. I know what is wrong with this child. So that's +1. Unlike before, like when you tell them this, they just run off. And so it's not, number one, it's not all of these gadgets causing that. But like study is still ongoing to find out the exact cause. But it's not what a pregnant woman ate during pregnancy. It's not you not giving your child supplements. It's not you not doing certain things. Yes. Because some parents come in, they're like, oh, is it my fault? Is it something I did wrong? Is it something that, no, it's nobody's fault. Like I said, this thing happens. When the cells are supposed to divide, they just, choose not to divide the way they should divide, and it happens.
There are some people that believe that if you get cancer, if a person gets cancer, they should, if you eat right, the cancer cells won't grow. There are some vegetables or herbs that you can take.
Cancer feeds on carbs and fat and all that.
Okay, so sugar. I'm really thankful that you asked that question. Cancer cells are erratic. They don't care what you eat and what you don't eat. If you drink water, cancer cells will still take the nutrients from wherever and feed on it. So regardless of what you eat, regardless of whatever, they still have to feed because they don't care about the normal cells. Normal cells are programmed. They know I can't go here. This is where I should be. But cancer cells are like all over the place. So drink water, take vegetables, take carbs, whatever it is you take, they'll still take what they need to grow because they don't care about you.
You just started an interesting conversation because I need to bring you back for this. Because there's a multi-million-dollar industry that would sell all sorts of, take soursop, take these vitamins, take that, it kills the cancers. And you're saying that, really, it's probably not true.
Even aside that, these people spend so much money on these supplements. Yeah. And then cancer is just down there, proliferating and spreading and all of that. And in your mind, you're taking these supplements once a day, twice a day. You spend hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
naira.
it's very expensive.
And then you get to the hospital, like, this is what you should do. There's no shortcut to it.
Yeah.
This is what you should do. And then they go, oh, you don't have money, or you spend so much money on
gotta
this
wrap
and
up.
that.
Thank you
Like,
so much for coming.
Thank you
We
for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thank you very much for. I mean, it's important because Nima doesn't joke with this foundation. She's very passionate about it, and we try to support the best we can. You know, and I'm happy that you guys are obviously seeing results, and 90% of the cases that present are able to be cured. And I'm also happy that you're doing some work with the religious bodies to ensure that they sensitize our members to make sure every child who may have cancer is properly taken to medical center to be well checked. And we also, the good news that we have the equipment to diagnose. So for those of you thinking that every small thing, let's fly, hey, let's fly, you can actually get a proper diagnosis here. You now choose afterwards to leave us, but at least you can get a proper diagnosis here in Nigeria. That is all we can take on the show today. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.